Everybody's okay? It's a long weekend. I mean, it's supposed to be long, so. Well, this morning we are going to finish our series on the hard sayings of Jesus, and this is the appropriate message because it's about the coming of Jesus. So just to let you know, this message was inspired by someone from our church who asked questions. What does it mean when Jesus says this? So I said, oh, this is a good question. Maybe we can add that to the hard saying. So someone asked me a question on this text, and I decided to add this to our last message. Because the biblical belief of Christianity is that, in fact, all the denominations who are truly Christians, we believe, and it's in our statement of faith, that Jesus is coming again in person. Amen? Amen. He is coming again. And so that is a basic biblical belief of Christianity. So if you have your Bible, open it. I will go through it later on. We don't need to go through it and read it now, but I will go through it later on in verses. So, but it's Luke 17. So if you look at look at Luke 17, and it will be from verses 20 to 37. So it's the coming of Jesus. Let me just start with this. There are so many speculations about when Jesus is coming again. You probably heard. This was very common, especially when 1999, I don't know if you remember this, turned into year 2000. It was called the Y2K. You remember that? There were so many speculations that, because computers are, they are in charge of our nuclear stuff and all the other things that are controlled by computers. Everything is controlled now. Your car has computers, your phone, everything. So there was fear that it could, when the computer, because of the way it was created, it wouldn't be able to switch the 1 to 2, which is what's needed to make it 2000 from 1999. So the issue there, so at that time actually, I was in computers, I was in IT, and so we upgraded a lot of our computers to make them Y2K compliant. So we worked a year or two very hard to do that, and then on the night, it was February, I don't know, December 31, Friday, December 31, 1999, I worked for a very large wireless corporation. So for all the IT staff, they placed us in a hotel close to the building, close to the computers. And then they placed us there, they paid our overtime, they gave us all the food that we need. And so we were there in case something happens, we are close to all the computer systems. And so, when it was like 11:30 p.m. I mean, I was like thinking, right, maybe this is really the end of the world. Because I am in computer, I can understand how it could have a hard time switching the 1 to 2. And so it would end up, instead of 2000, it would go back to 1901. So 11:30 p.m. We were like, what's going to happen? Although we were making extra money, the overtime, right? This is good. I have to remember, it's like a family day. I'm not in my house. I'm at work. And then it was 11:59. We waited. It was like a really long 1 second, even 1 minute. And then nothing happened. So, oh, thank you, Lord. But then I said, No, maybe not yet. It takes a few seconds, right, to deactivate things, for all the nuclear things to come off and they recognize the computer. But nothing happened. In fact, so many people predicted that it would be the end of the world. I had read books about it, Christians, non-Christians. You know, I read a book called Millennium Meltdown that's really predicted all these things that will happen. But we're here. So nothing happens. And so this text actually, will give us 4 key words to look for, to know that Jesus is really coming. Because this is what verse 22 and 23, it says, then he said to his disciples, so remember this message are for us, the followers of Jesus, the disciples. Then he said, the time is coming when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, but you will not see it. People will tell you, there he is, or here he is. Do not go running off after them. By the way, the Son of Man is, because some people could use it to say that Jesus is the Son of Man. The phrase Son of Man is found in Daniel, and it refers to God. If you look at it, cross-reference it, in the book of Daniel, the Son of Man, according to the vision of Daniel, coming from heaven. So this is actually referring to Jesus' deity, not his humanity, although it says man. So Jesus is saying, you know, if I tell you and say, you know what, Jesus is coming next week, I think we should go up to the mountain, to the Grouse Mountain, so we're closer to Jesus. So when he comes, we are there. We will be the first group to go. Don't believe me. Jesus said that. There he is, here he is. Don't go running off after them. 4 key words in our text today that will let you know. Number 1 is the word attention. And its attention comes with the phrase warning as well, right? So the first key word in this text, in a way, about the return of Jesus is the word attention. See the word with me, attention. You gotta pay attention, because this is very important. Here's what it says, verse 24 to 25. For the Son of Man in his day will be like the lightning, which flashes and lights up the sky from one end to the other. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. So Jesus is saying that when he comes, it's like a lightning that flashes from one end to the other. When you are looking at the sky and there are flashes of lightning, everybody, it calls for attention, it commands for attention. People, in other words, people will know. You don't need to hide, you don't have to say, you know what, Jesus is coming today and he will be on this spot. Let's all go sell everything we have and let's just give it to others. Because he's coming, let's go there. It's not going to be like that, because it's like the lightning which flashes and lights up the sky from one end to other. In other words, everybody will know. It's not a secret. It's not CIA information. So he says, by the way, that for the Son of Man, I underline the word day. Because the word day is mentioned many times in this text. For example, verse 22, it says, the days of the Son of Man. Verse 24 in our text, the Son of Man in his day. Verse 26, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. Verse 30, it will be like the day the Son of Man is revealed. Verse 31, on that day, no one is on the roof of his. So there's so many mentions that Jesus of the word day. So let me explain what the day is. The day, it could mean 3 things. It could mean the first one, it could be the 24-hour. It could be from sunrise to sunset. I have to think about that word. Sunrise to sunset. That's day. It could also mean that an extended period of time. So it's not like 24 hours, just an extended. You know, you have a long day like that. But here's what it means on this text, okay? Because the other meaning of the word day, it means an appointed or a very special time, appointed with a special purpose. That's what the meaning of the word day. So in other words, on that day, it's an appointed day already. In other words, God already knows which day it is. It's appointed day, and it is a very special day. Special purpose. And so, in other words, the day that Jesus comes, God knows already. We don't. And that day, everybody, it will command the attention of everybody. You don't need to have somebody interpret it to you. You know, is that Jesus? Because everybody will know. Attention. You know, I started sharing to you about in the IT that I work, but I've never shared this. That when you go to a job, you always start with, they call it entry-level job. I don't know if you've started that way, but I've started like that in computers. I started an entry-level job. What's an entry-level job in computers? It's like building computer hardware. People order a lot of things at that time, scanner, DVD, video card. I would put it together. In 1 month, I would put like almost 200 special customized order of people. That's my first entry-level job. And then I moved to like fixing monitors, printers, laptops. Here's what it says in one of the power supply of computer. It says, in German, it says, Achtung. You know what an Achtung is? Sorry. Achtung. It means attention. Pay attention to details. I didn't really pay attention to the word attention until this thing happened. Okay, here's what happened. Then it got my attention. Because we were fixing monitors, and you know, monitors, the high voltage of that monitor can kill you. So then one of my coworkers, I wasn't there that day, but he was fixing this monitor, and there is this area where we fix things, and that's the wall. Maybe the wall is to this side, and it's just a very small. So this wall is the other side. So that length. So he was fixing this monitor, and he was not paying attention to the details, and that high voltage just threw him all the way to the other wall and down. And then it got my attention. See, sometimes you don't pay attention until something happens, bad happens. But as followers of Jesus, it is very important to pay attention now, before anything else happened. Because the following keyword is this. We don't have time to pay attention later. The preparation is not there later. The preparation is now, because it says in 26 and 27, just as it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given to marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. And then look at the next word after that. Then. It's so sudden. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. Jesus also told the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Jesus believed Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you believe that happened? Sodom and Gomorrah? Jesus believed. Noah. Jesus believed that. And so I believe, because He is God. And so Sodom and Gomorrah, He also tells what happened there. So the two common things on these two events is that everybody were just eating and drinking, and they're going in their merry way and even marrying, and then all of a sudden things happen. So people going in their normal way. And so what happened was, For example, he mentions, let me just read to you this news magazine, because this is related to what Jesus is trying to say in terms of preparation, okay? This is a news magazine article. Listen to this. It says, it is a gloomy, it's about the environment, about the things happening. It is a gloomy moment in the history of our country. Not in the lifetime of most men has there been so much grave and deep apprehension. Never has the future seemed so incalculable as it is this time. The domestic economy situation is in chaos. Our dollar is weak throughout the world. Prices are so high as to be utterly impossible. The political cauldron is in the bubble of uncertainty. Russia hangs as usual like a cloud, dark and silent upon the horizon. It is a solemn moment of our trouble. No man can see the end. That's an article thinking, well, this is like not a good thing that's happening. Guess what day it was? It sounds like could be this day, right? But that was in 1847. If you look at the world history now, what's going on, it's still the same. And so, one thing that people are used to is that when it's always the same, it's like, you know what, I've been waiting for Jesus, nothing happened, so I'll just go, spend time in my own ways, go to the bar, go out and all the stuff, because everything seems normal, so we don't think that something all of a sudden will happen. Because everything is familiar, we are deceived into thinking that everything is the same and everything will be okay. So that's where the danger is. That I don't need to prepare for the coming of Jesus. Because after all, I've been waiting, maybe He's not going to come. But Jesus is saying, don't be fooled by that, don't be deceived into that, because that day will come just like that. In fact, other verses says, He will come in the twinkling of an eye. How fast is the twinkling of an eye? I mean, just try to blink. It's that fast. You don't want to receive the Lord Jesus that day. Because you just blink, Lord Jesus, I receive you in my life. And it's like how many blinks you're gonna have before you finish the sentence, Lord, I receive you into my life as my Lord and Savior. There's no time in the blinking of an eye, twinkling. And so Jesus is telling us preparation needs to happen today. And the next 2 points, the next 2 key words are actually how we prepare. Listen to the next word. We prepare the coming of Christ in our attitude toward possession. Listen to this. On that day, no one, there's that word day again, no one who is on the housetop with possessions inside should go down to get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Whoever tries to keep their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life will preserve it. So don't, when you see all this Jesus coming like a lightning, you will notice, and then all of a sudden you don't have your stuff prepared. Some people, and this is the warning of Jesus, because we can be attached to things. It's true. I've been in that situation. So don't even get anything. Not even your passport. It's not going to get you into heaven. Lord, I have my Canadian passport, my Philippine passport, my Mexican passport, my Chilean passport. It's nothing. You're not going to get anything. Because that's what Jesus is saying. So Jesus mentioned, for example, in this as his example, the wife of Lot. The wife of Lot. Lot, by the way, has only one wife. Lot is his name. So he didn't have lots of wife. It's only his name, Lot's wife. No, not lots of wife. Lot's wife, Jesus mentioned, what did she do? Well, the instruction was when this Sodom and Gomorrah was about to be burned, to go, not to look back, but the wife of Lot looked back. because of their possession, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Here's what happened, okay? The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah was similar to what happened if you look at the history in Pompeii. In Pompeii in 79, look at what happened. A volcanic gas settled over the city and it suffocated the people overnight. And then the city was covered with volcanic ash, and this ash and the chemical action of the ash hardened the bodies of the dead. And in fact, the ashes on the side of the body, it's like it really formed the body, hardened. It's similar to that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so this is the reality that Jesus is reminding us. Don't be attached to things. So, okay, in about 2 minutes, I will ask you to raise your hand. If you own one of these things, ready? Don't raise your hand yet. I will read this to you. If you own one of these, later on, raise your hand. A pair of shoes. Maybe some of you own more than that. Imelda style. Imelda Marcos. Clothes. If you own a phone. And if you own maybe a car, a house, savings, RSP, or you own an iPad, a laptop, anything that you own. If you do, raise your hand. And I'm raising my hand too. So it's not a trick. So if you own anything whatsoever, raise your hand. Some of you are not sure if you own anything. Oh, 2 hands, okay. If you own anything, just anything, raise your hand. Okay, so some of you are convinced that you own something. Some are not convinced. Because, remember, I raised my hand too. But the reminder of Jesus in the scripture is that we don't own anything. We are manager, steward of what He has given us. The challenge for you and for me, and I raise my hand too, is that in anything in life, it's so hard to say, I don't own that. Because, you know, here, can you pick up my car from the garage? Or can you please drive my car to the repair center? We use that all the time, the mine. Oh, here's my, maybe you can use my phone for now. It's like so hard to disengage and tell yourself you don't own anything. Because God owns everything. And so some of us may even own a lot of things. A lot of clothes. So I said only a pair of shoes. Maybe you own lots of shoes or even lots of clothes. Thanks to the 2-for-1 sale, you own so much. In fact, my wife is good at that. She's very good in finding the sale. Okay, let me just tell you this story. Okay, so we go into. She said no, but I'll tell it to you anyway. She goes into this a store called my Uncle Russ, and none of this is going to turn out good. Actually, I promise. She goes into this, and I'm looking for one thing, and she goes out with like 3 or 4 or 5 things, and then she goes, you guess how much this one? This one is $2. This one is $3. How did you find that? I mean, the lowest I can find for myself is like 20 bucks. So she's good in finding all these things. And then it's not even for herself, actually. Sometimes it's for her kids, for her husband, and for people that she gives it to. I guess I just gave away the price of her gifts, right? That's not good. But remember those sale tag is removed, and just look at the original price. But she's good at that, and it's not even for herself. But you know, a lot of us, thanks to those 2-for-1 sale, we have own so much things. But the Bible is reminding us that we don't own anything. It belongs to God. And so everything belongs to God, entrusted to us. And so Jesus teaches us, how do we prepare for His coming? We prepare by first re-engaging or detaching ourselves from the things of this world. And I can tell you, personally, it's not an easy thing. Because I own things, quote unquote, even though I really don't. But that's just a normal thing for me. So the first thing we need to do to prepare is to detach ourselves, to say that I own things. In fact, I'm just using things God is allowing me to use it. Here's the fourth word in the coming of Jesus according to our text: separation. Separation. In verses 34 to 36, maybe we can read this together. It says, ready? Let's read it. I tell you, on that night, two people will be in one bed, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding grain together, one will be taken and the other left. Wow. So if you notice that the day turned into night. Have you noticed that? It says on that day, and then this one all of a sudden, look at this, on that night. Okay, the idea is there are two people on the bed. I presume they're husband and wife. And then two people grinding in the field. And you know, as women would, grinding in the field, they're just talking. And then all of a sudden one disappeared like that. And one left standing still. What happened? So the question is, we have to, so I did a word study, the word taken and the word left. Because one is taken and the other one is left. So the word taken, by the way, is someone has taken them alongside. That's what it means. Like taken alongside to go somewhere. And then the other one is so it's actually a positive thing when someone has taken you. The other one is negative, the left. So positive and negative. Left means that you are abandoned. So on that day, one will be taken, the other one is left. And so, taken to where? It's not in Luke 17, but if you look at the same story in Matthew 24, Jesus mentioned that Noah, he entered the ark. And he has taken a pair of animals with him into the ark. And those who were taken into the ark were saved. Those who were left were destroyed by the flood. So you see the picture there? That's in the book of Matthew of the same story, Matthew 24. So those who are taken along are saved from the flood, and those who are left were destroyed. So then the disciples ask, where, Lord? They're still inquiring. Remember, this is a disciple. So Jesus says this in verse 37. He talks about these vultures. He says that, when there are vultures, you will know. The vultures are big creatures, like big birds. Not the yellow bird on TV, the big bird, but they're like really big bird. And their wingspan is really huge. And so what they do is that once they see a dead animal on the ground, one will go in, and as soon as the other vultures can see, a lot of them will go in and eat the dead animal. And so you can see from a distance, you will not mistake in anything that the vultures are there. And so verse 37 Jesus is telling us, the disciple is asking them, where this verse, according to scholars, is saying that, you know, when this happens, don't worry about where this judgment will occur, because when it comes, it will be visible. Everybody will know. Just like we see the vultures from a distance, we will see when this happens. So now one more question before we end. Is this talking about the rapture? About the taken and the left? Not Toronto rapture. Okay, that's a different one. I'm talking about the rapture. Okay, here's what verse. The word rapture is not found in the Bible, but it's a word used to describe what is taking place. For example, let me give you 1 Thessalonians 4:17. After that, it says, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will be with the Lord forever. So the rapture is the word caught up. So we will be caught up. So this verse in Luke and in Matthew, it's not referring to the rapture. It does look like it, but it's not referring to. So we could say that Jesus doesn't have the intention to teach us about the rapture, but it has the appearance that what we see here is the rapture. So the conclusion to this is that, in summary, we learn that Jesus' second coming is that people will know, everyone, it will command attention. Don't be fooled by somebody, or don't be deceived by somebody thinking they have an inside track of the coming of Jesus. Nobody does. I don't. In fact, your knowledge is the same as me. Well, Paul says, but we are not in the darkness that we shouldn't know. So we have a sense that He is coming. That's all we know. There are signs, of course. There are earthquakes, there are floods. There are all these calamities. There are signs. So we're not totally in the dark, but we don't know what day it is. And so, but we can be sure that He will, when He comes, it will catch our attention. And then when He comes to, it's like sudden. When no one expects, He will come. And on that day, material possessions have no meaning. Those who are attached to their material things will be lost, and those who are not will be saved. And so as Christians, I say, you know what? Is that what I need to work on? To detach myself, disengage myself to my possessions. Number 4, when Jesus comes, people side by side will be separated. One for salvation and the other for judgment. So what do I do to prepare? That's the same question that 2 Peter 3:11 answered. It says, since all these things will be destroyed in this way, what kind of people should you be? Listen to his answer. Your lives should be holy and dedicated to God, as you wait for the day of God, and do your best to make it come soon. In other words, prophecy like this is never given so that we can just sit around and speculate what will happen. Our part is to live holy and godly life, so that when He comes, we are not found in the bar, drinking and eating and marrying. When He comes, we are ready. We are like the bride waiting for the groom, ready for Jesus. Think about that as we prepare for our communion later. Let me close in prayer.